Thank you so much, and thank you for being here. So I guess, should we go for a quick introduction and say what kind of role are you doing in your company, and so that the public is aware? Should we start with you, Tim?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Tim Griffith, and I lead commercial strategy and data and insights at Fulham Football Club. So a big focus of my day-to-day role is trying to bring a data-led approach across our commercial lifecycle. So thinking about how we go about targeting potential sponsors all the way through to trying to keep existing partners happy with return on investment data and metrics. For my sins as well, I have this simultaneous blessing and curse of being the club's sustainability officer. So a big focus is around driving sustainable innovation across the business.
I think it's a blessing. You should see. Ben, what about you?
Yeah, so my name is Ben Osu. I am Head of Equity and Inclusion for Everton Football Club. And in the main, that is all about stamping out discrimination within the game, whether that be racism, homophobia, misogyny and sexism, disability discrimination, and just trying to make the game a more welcoming and safe place for everyone, regardless of their background. And similar to Tim, as the role develops more and more, I am taking on more of the responsibility around the environmental sustainability work of the club as well.
Thank you, Ben. Maddalena.
Hello, everybody. I'm Maddalena Cannarsa. I'm Associate Principal at Populous, architecture field specialized in sport architecture. And I'm also responsible of the social sustainability in our EMEA office.
Fantastic. As you can see, we've got a very good spread, and as sustainability is not just one thing, it's inclusion, is partnership, is environment, and is building infrastructure as well. So the first question is for you, Maddalena. Sorry for that. The first question is for you, Maddalena. From a design point of view, what does it really take to make a stadium sustainable?
So sustainability in stadium changed a lot recently. So it's not about adding green feature at the end, but it's how we integrate that from the very beginning of the design stage, so from the concept. At Populous, we are committed to deliver net zero project by 2030. And our approach to sustainability is based on 3 Ps, where the first P stands for people. So we want our project, so stadium, to be civic architecture. So it's not just a sport venue. We have to design for everybody. The venue has to be open 365 a year. And to do that, we have to rethink the way we design it. So from the access to security, to circulation, to hospitality, and of course the public realm, all have to be designed and taught in a way that can be accessed to the whole community, because the community has to be at the heart of our projects. The second P is place, because we don't want to design white elephants. So stadium has to be a destination, has to be a catalyst for transformation. A great example is Tottenham, who has become an anchor point for the whole city. So Tottenham is in the outer area of North London. And what we have done basically is not only make a destination for match day, but it transforms an entire area. So back in time, stadiums were places where people didn't want to go and live because they were considered like unsafe areas or risky. So we completely changed and transformed that perception. So Tottenham area now is a place where people want to go and be, where local businesses thrived, where public transport have increased, house market value has increased. So it's very important that when we design stadium, we take in consideration even as well the context. And the third P is planet, because how lightly our buildings sit on the environment is what defines its sustainability. So we cannot really justify the footprint of such a large building if they work only 50 days a year. So we have to make sure that they work all year round. And to do that, as architects, we have to make sure that they are flexible, they are climate resilient, they are adaptable, also for housing future technology, the one that has been yet to be discovered. And when these 3 Ps align, so people, place, and planet, then the environmental sustainability layer fell naturally into it. So natural ventilation, orientation, rainwater harvesting, PV panels. So everything is, it comes naturally when we already set up the design in a way that is target to people, to place, and respect the planet. And to answer your question, yes, we can deliver green stadiums, so it is a reality, and an example is the Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle. It's the first arena in the world who earned the net zero carbon certification from International Living Future. The Climate Pledge Arena has rainwater harvesting from the roof. It runs 100% of renewable energy. It banned the use of single plastic. The ticket to go to see the event is associated with free ticket on the public transport. So all these make it, as I just said, so a sustainable building, net zero. So yes, it is a reality because we have this as an example, and it will be the new normal.
Thank you so much. Let's keep it on planets. Tim, to you, what Fulham is doing for environmental sustainability?
Yeah, well, I think at Fulham it's funny because probably one of our unique challenges is that our biggest strength is also our biggest weakness when it comes to environmental sustainability, in that we're very blessed with rich history. We are London's original football club. We have the oldest football stadium in London. But at the same time, having 2 listed buildings as part of your stadium, that creates a lot of challenges when it comes to sustainable innovation. So as a club, we're often having to walk the tightrope between heritage protection and sustainability innovation. And probably one of the key elements to our sustainability strategy, aside from ground redevelopment that Maddalena is much more qualified to talk about than I am, but one of the main threads of our strategy has been this idea of purpose-led partnerships, purpose-led sponsorships. I think CSR, as it pertains to sponsorship, has often been viewed as almost like a secondary consideration, almost like an afterthought. But I guess the idea of a purpose-led partnership takes the social impact, the environmental impact element from the peripheries of the partnership right to the very core and the very DNA of what that partnership is looking to achieve. And for us, purpose-led partnerships have allowed us to make quite significant step changes in our sustainability progress. We've been allowed to access resource from outside of the business that we wouldn't otherwise have had access to, whether that's financial support, expertise in a particular area. Maybe there's a product or service that we wouldn't otherwise have been able to implement as a business. So lots of live case studies at the moment with our current partners, whether it's implementing a reusable cup scheme at the stadium through our partnership with Budweiser, significantly reducing our plastic consumption by about 250,000 cups per season, which is quite a lot of plastic. Through our partnership with Arnold Clark, who are our official car marketplace partner, the club's full vehicle fleet is now fully electrified. We think we'll reduce carbon emissions in that particular area by about 80%, so really significant saving. And there's lots of other partnerships that are really focused more around reducing energy consumption, driving energy efficiency, whether it's integrating smart shading technology, LED lighting, or even smart energy efficient printing technology, all designed to reduce our energy consumption. So yeah, certainly purpose-led partnerships will be a really key piece of our strategy as we look to tackle the big topic of sustainability and help drive change at scale at the club.
Thank you. That is amazing. It's not just environmental sustainability, but actually add value to your partnership and find a way to link your partnership with your purpose. That is really good. And that is part of one conversation that I had with Ben about holistic approach. So is this holistic approach of matches, is that what's happening when the match is finished? So Ben, do you want to elaborate on that a bit more of what you're doing at Everton?
Yeah, I think it's about being really authentic as an organisation, and actually just to complement what what Tim and Maddalena have said. It's about being values-led from the beginning and making sure that those values are already embedded within your organisation. So I completely recognise people, place, and planet. And then also, like you said, with purpose-led partnerships, that then feeds into what Tim was talking about. We talk about respect, celebrate, and empower at Everton as part of our All Together Now strategy. We want to make sure that our people and planet are respected. We want to make sure that they're celebrated and that they can, thrive and be recognised. But also, we want to empower people to stamp out discrimination or make sure that they're taking the next step towards us becoming more environmentally sustainable. So, again, not something that happens on a match day necessarily, but to your electric car point, Tim, we've just done a electric car scheme with our staff. So again, trying to make sure that, we had a car scheme going anyway, but how can we make it a little bit more sustainable and environmentally friendly? Likewise, we've got kind of a battery storage system within the stadium, and that means that we can run the stadium more efficiently and more eco-friendly. And it could be, how do we use public transport to make sure that fans and supporters are kind of getting to and from the game in a way which is a little bit more sustainable. Similarly with inclusion, we've probably developed, I would say, one of the most inclusive and accessible stadiums within the UK and Europe. And so, now we've got kind of more disabled and kind of wheelchair bays for our fans who might need to use them. And we've got things like prayer rooms and reflection rooms, quiet spaces, and I think we're very proud of our sensory room and sensory space that we've got for particularly young people and vulnerable adults who might need to use that during match days. But I think the key thing is making sure that all of that is tied into organisational objectives with regards to sustainability, whether that be environmental or social, so that there's a real driver there from a business point of view.
That's great, and I hope that everybody is happy to hear this push for sustainability, but in a different way. It's not just CSR; it's about bringing along on the journey your partner and your community. And talking about bringing on the journey your community, one question for Maddalena is: when you design from a design perspective of the stadium, when you design the stadium, how can you make sure that that's contribute to the daily life of the neighborhoods?
I think it's a combination of two factors, good design and good operation. So we want, in order to be a destination for urban life, the stadium has to be a destination where you want to go not twice a month, has to go there every day. And I think a great example of this is the Fulham Stadium, River Stand. So if you go there on no-match days, the GA concourse at ground level is completely open to the Riverside Promenade. And basically the two elements together, they join and they become a big, unique piece of public realm. So honestly, if you walk there, you don't realize that you stepped into a stadium. It seems a piece of cityscape with coffee places, with restaurants, with activities for kids, events. So to understand that you're in a stadium, if you don't know it, you really have to go in and look through the vomitories where you see the ball and the pitch. And I think this is something also incredible, beautiful about the Fulham Stadium. You can see the pitch, you can see the ball without pay for it. It's free, it's open to everybody. It's an experience for all. It's a great value that the club is bringing to the community, because it's really bringing close the community to the club, both emotionally and physically. And again, in order to allow as architects the good operation for that kind of event, we have to create adaptable spaces, a very strong back of house in order to allow different multiple events. It has to be well acoustic insulated, because, for example, in the case of the Fulham Stadium, the stadium is really in the heart of the city and it is surrounded by residential areas, so we have to make sure that we are not noise polluting the area while we run different activities. So in conclusion, yes, I mean, I think the combination of good design and good architecture is the key of a great social, environmental, social sustainability that can deliver a great urban life to the city.
And I have to say, I can vet that. I was invited last year to the Fulham versus Everton match. And I just had opened the new pier, so it was amazing, and it's an amazing building. So back to you a bit to elaborate on that, because I find it very strange that things like that, but it was an amazing experience actually for both football fans and non-football fans, and I think it combines really well and is really the heart of the community there.
Yeah, that's what we've really tried to achieve, is through kind of opening up the stadium and having the Riverside Walkway, which up until last year had been closed off to the public, being able to open that up, which incidentally is the most Stravaed running route in London apparently. But that's allowed us to connect with an audience who perhaps wouldn't think about coming to a match day, wouldn't think about coming to Fulham matches, and that's absolutely fine. But being able to tap into that new audience through whether it's just people wanting to have a cup of coffee on the riverfront, or come to a comedy night, or roller disco, like it's a chance to engage with a whole new demographic that with pure football content we wouldn't otherwise have been able to engage with. So it's great to see the built environment drive audience acquisition that wouldn't have otherwise been possible.
And I think the amazing thing is on the river. It's on the River Thames. So it's also that environmental view and environmental side. And talking about being on the river, I think it's like you near the water as well, Ben, like with your new stadium. And one of the questions is like how much is and sustainability can drive real inclusion, especially for the community?
Yeah, so we are on the mouth of the River Mersey that leads out into the Irish Sea. We've also got the Leeds-Liverpool Canal that kind of runs from the dock next door and around the city. And of course, the stadium was built on an old dock, so we had to pump the water out and refill the dock and make sure that all the foundations were sustainable. But just an example of some of the work that Everton in the community does. They work with the Canal and River Trust in the UK, and they've done kind of like river cleans, and they get staff involved, but they also get community members involved. But not only does that give them a chance, yes, to clean the river and clean up the local environment, it also gives them a chance to engage with some young people from really deprived backgrounds who wouldn't normally ever get those opportunities. But also it gives them that opportunity to then see how else they can be supported into getting into jobs or getting into kind of further opportunities to develop themselves and their kind of professional skills and experience. Equally for me, it's about linking that back into the wider inclusion agenda. More and more we see social impact and environmental impact being spoke about at the same events and within the same breath. And I think that's really important because they are both there to create a planet and a world which is better and safer for everyone. And I think we can absolutely use football to deliver that change.
Yeah, and I think like planet and people, that is what we normally refer to. And we discuss about collective responsibility. That is something really important on what you're doing and how Everton does it. So can you give us some example and how that's embedded in your sustainability vision?
So there is an old proverb, and I might get it wrong, but it goes something like, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I think that's really important because whether it's around saving the planet and being more environmentally friendly, or it's about stamping out, racism within our football stadiums, we need to do it as a collective group if we're actually going to do it at all. Because without the collective responsibility, it's just going to take us a long time to do. and it's how we do it more authentically. So we know that there's an issue with racism within football and within football stadiums. So what we need is fans to call it out, for fans to report it, and we need them to do that en masse and as a collective, so that we can then start to take more and more action in order to stamp that out. In the same way, you know, we know that match days can be unsustainable from an environment point of view. So we need to encourage supporters to, you know, use the reusable cup system to make sure that when they're putting their rubbish in the bins, they're using the correct bins, to think about, actually, do I need to drive to the game or could I get public transport? And then be really intentional with how they make those decisions and make that part of their routine and make that part of their culture.
And the thing is, like, when we talk about collective responsibility in the community, but also on the partnership space. So how you see that team driving the next piece in partnership for football?
Yeah, I think it'll be massive moving forwards. Ultimately, purpose-led partnerships are delivering for all stakeholders, whether it's on the club side. I know for us, it's going to be a massive part of helping us get close to some level of net zero match day and greener stadium. From a brand perspective, we also know that from partnership data that people are more likely to trust brands who are viewed as being socially responsible, environmentally responsible. And if you're more likely to trust a brand, then you're more likely to purchase from them as well. So there's a real kind of business case behind brands getting involved in purpose-led partnerships. And I think also from like a kind of macro consumer level, like we know that younger generations, and particularly Gen Z, are more likely to base purchase decisions on how much brands align with their values, how much they align with their belief system. So if you think about Gen Z being, sort of 15 to 28-year-olds at the moment, as a high proportion of those Gen Zers move out of full-time education into the workplace, move up the career ladder, then the power of the Gen Z pound is only going to increase moving forwards, and that's going to impact market dynamics, it's going to impact marketing strategies, sponsorship strategies. So I think we're definitely going to see a lot more of purpose integrated into partnerships. And certainly for us will be a massively important way for us to be able to achieve sustainability step changes that we wouldn't otherwise be able to achieve outside of the partnership model.
And I think that is really important to recognize that sustainability is a must, and we need people and planets, and we need to look after that, even in football or in any sport. But of course, it's got a cost, and having partners that can actually bear that cost is great, because then you can actually do everything and also make sure that the partner is on board with you on the journey that you want to take. One final question. We know that we are the panel between you and your lunch, so we don't want to make it too long. But my final question to Maddalena is about innovation and new technology. So I'm sure there are lots of other panels that are all talking about new technology in football and new technologies in building, but it's like new materials. How do you approach that from a design point of view, and what's innovation and sustainable innovation look like in the future?
So innovation is a big thing for architects, because we always want to do something new, something that hasn't been done before, that we are the first one to approach. But it's a teamwork, because innovation doesn't come alone. So the architect can have the idea, but then you need the engineers to develop the technology. You need a general contractor willing to explore new construction methods. The client to have the vision and to take the risk of doing something new, so that there is no database for that. The local authorities, again, so being open-minded enough to give consent to something that hasn't been done before. From the sustainable point of view, it's not necessarily about new gadget or new technologies, but it's about using materials in a different way, for example. And I would like to bring as an example Stade de la Méno in Strasbourg, where we use piece of the fuselage of decommissioned Airbus airplanes, and we transform into sun shading. So the south facade of Stade de la Minot is done with the 4,000 square meters of part of decommissioned airplanes. And we have a video for that. So what I want to say with that is that is innovation in sustainability, so a way of rethinking how we use the material in a different way. And I have a video here if we can play it.
Thank you. Thank you for the video. I don't know if everybody knows, but it's like I come from motorsport, and I'm a big fan of reusing materials, and and about new technology, and I'm a big advocate as well of industry cross-pollination and partnership, because I think that is the only way to move forward. So thanks everybody for coming. We're not going to take any question in this panel, but we're all going for lunch. So please, if you got any question, do reach out to Tim, Ben, and Maddalena for any question you have. Thank you so much.
Thank you.